like halfway through that last one, I like started staring to try to see if I could see the number, but the way the books are, I could not see the numbers at all. I was like, well, I hope we're recording.
Where are the numbers at?
Yeah, it's going.
Okay.
But, all right, let's go. Welcome to another edition of Walnut Grove Cultural Conversations, where two local pastors, 1, 2, 3, however many you want to count, are sit in front of this bookshelf and talk about some things going on. It is real. This is not a Zoom backdrop or a fake
We would
thing.
probably pick something different, I assume.
Yeah, then
Paris or
Paris,
Illinois.
The gym of the Midwest. So, one of the things that's going on is we are right in the heart of planting season, right in the heart of farmers really getting everything ready. So they're outside working the ground right now. So if you hear anything going on, that's what's going on.
Because we are in the heart of fields,
Yeah.
like literally all around our church. So
yeah, I remember a few years ago, I was driving and I realized that I live in the middle of the largest factory in the world, because just everywhere is just producing crop. But there's a few things about the planting and harvest and the life of a farmer that we wanted to talk about today, because that if we want to talk about the culture of where we live, there's nothing more better to talk about than the life of a farmer. And so we had a few observations we wanted to talk about today.
Yeah, first thing we wanted to acknowledge is when Jesus teaches, he often uses real world happenings as a way of getting to spiritual truth. We call them parables.
Yep.
And I think what we kind of acknowledged as we were talking is like every day unfolding during this harvest season, or planting season rather, and a harvest season, is just a parable of the faith, of what Christianity is meant to look like. And so the first thing that I kind of acknowledged as we talked through this is, first off, it's a lot of work for a very short season in the year.
Yeah. Like right now, you have people out there disking, you have them spraying, you have all different types of people doing it. They'll spray again after the crop, they'll replant if there's a flood out. All of those different things that go into a month and a half of reaping, of getting the grain in.
Yeah, and I know farmers always talk about their inputs, right? Their inputs get higher, and their inputs are always a debate. How can I keep my input costs down? But you think about the Christian faith, there's always this input, right? Every Sunday we come, and there's not oftentimes this harvest that meets us every week.
Yeah.
Right? Every time I preach a sermon, I don't have the Billy Graham effect. Hundreds or hundreds of thousands of people aren't responding. Every time he sings a worship song, I assume people are crying, but not for the right
different reasons. Yeah,
just kidding.
Exactly.
But there's seasons where you don't always see the fruit of the harvest of what you're doing, but you got to plant the seeds, and you got to give them time to grow. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that harvest season's really small. So that was the first kind of recognition.
Yeah,
you had another one.
The other thing I think is interesting is, right now we're in pre-planting season, where you have to do so much work to get the ground ready for the seed. Where you have to do so much work to get the ground ready for a place to actually bring real growth.
Yeah, cultivation.
And I think that that's another facet of this that ties into faith and into sharing the good news and into being faithful, because a lot of the stuff that we do in the day-to-day life of a Christian, in the day-to-day life of being faithful, following God, isn't these huge Billy Graham moments, isn't these huge moments. What it is being faithful and tilling that ground. Tilling that ground through the relationships that we have and the way that we have them, right? I saw a post on Facebook this morning where someone was talking about how servers at restaurants, they always kind of dread that post-church surge. And that's a horrible thing, because they see all these people who come in from churches dressed up for their church services, and that is a representation to them of cheapness and of who Jesus is ultimately, and why would I need to be part of that group?
Your God of abundance doesn't tip well.
Yeah, and
what an irony.
And so it's being faithful in the middle of that works the soil in ways that we don't even realize in the people's lives that we don't even realize that it's working it in.
Right.
And so you have to, it's an all-in, 100% in all the time type of life, because it's a transformation of who you are.
Well, and you don't know what part you're playing, right?
Yeah.
Paul talks about this, right? I plant, Apollos waters, but God makes it grow. So you're not always sure if you're planting or you're watering someone's seed, or you're at the place where you get to harvest, because Jesus tells us at times we're going to be part of beginning to enjoy that harvest. I mean, let's see, Matthew chapter 9, verse 37, he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field." And so we get this call, right? Of, okay, man, you look about farming right now, man, there's not a ton of people out there working, but they have to go out there. There's no farming from your couch.
Yeah. There's no, and that's the other part of it, right, is it's not always easy work. Every year, through the summer months and into the fall months, and here in the spring, it's like farmers are shaking their fist at the weatherman or at weather itself. It's their arch nemesis, because it never really does exactly what they want. It's never that perfect year.
Well, let's be fair. Their expectations are quite erratic. Yeah. More rain, no rain. What am I praying for?
I have learned to not really talk about that for the next 6-7 months, and because you never know where they're actually at. Well, we need more rain, we need less rain, all that stuff. But one of the things is if every farmer just gave up when the going got tough, when the rains happened too much, like last year was such a late planting season because there was so much rain here in April and in May last year. And so they still had to be faithful and get those seeds planted, get those seeds out there. Even in the midst of that, they couldn't just go, well, this is another lost opportunity, another lost year. Yeah. They stayed faithful in it and put their head down and did what needed to be done.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Just because you have a bad day doesn't mean you give up on a whole harvest. Right? Just because you have a bad month doesn't mean you give up on the whole harvest, right? There are going to be times in your Christian life where you go through doubts, struggles, loss, grief, whatever it is, right? There's hard moments in life, right? Jesus told us there'll be trouble.
Yeah.
But you don't give up on the harvest, right? Because you'd be out of business. And in the same way, we'd be out of hope if Christ didn't do what he said he did, and he had to go through the hard to be elevated and exalted up on the third day, and then at the right hand of the Father in heaven. So Aaron's right, man. We got to go through hard times and go through them right. Keep putting seed in the ground.
Yeah, and be willing to pray bold prayers that say, God, let me be a worker of the harvest.
Yeah,
God, put me in the place, open my eyes to see the people in my life that are at that place in their life that either they need a seed planted, they need a seed watered, they need encouraged, they need whatever it is. Open my eyes for the people around me, to the people around me in the way that you see them, in the way that they're at, the position that they're at, so that you can be a faithful and a good harvest worker.
Yeah, I think Jesus kind of gives a promise here when he talks about a harvest that's 30, 60, or 100 times greater than what was planted. Right? It's not a 1-to-1 ratio. It's not I plant one seed and I get one bushel or whatever, right?
Yeah.
He's saying the seed that's hard and takes time to get there is going to produce more than you sometimes think or know. And so we can plant these seeds in faith, knowing that God will do things with them that we'll maybe never know until we get the reunion in heaven.
Yeah.
Or man, I kind of picture it sometimes like you get to heaven and there's this room, like with the banquet table, and you get to interact with the people that you've invested in. Yeah. And your family, the people that you've made a difference with. Yeah. And get to just enjoy that celebration of who Jesus is and what he's done through you.
You know what's funny? When I was a kid, one of my favorite songs was a song called Thank You by Ray Boltz, which is a real throwback. But the whole premise of the song is this guy meeting someone in heaven saying, thank you for being faithful to the Lord, for I am a life that was changed. And he's talking to his Sunday school teacher who was faithful, who came and taught. How many Sunday school teachers have left thinking they've done nothing? And he's just saying, I am a life that was changed. My life changed. You didn't know it, but now I'm seeing you in heaven. It gives me goosebumps talking about it right now. I have goosebumps.
Yeah. There's an old story from World War II, or actually World War I. A soldier was dying in a trench, and he asked his friend to go back to the UK and to look up a man's name. Right, look at this guy up. Right, ring him.
Okay. And
he goes to his house and he says, "Hey, I'm here for one of the guys." He said he knew you, and the man said, "Well, I was a Sunday school teacher, and I thought I had failed. Right, I didn't think I had made a difference." And it was this moment for him where he's like, "I'm going to reinvest in what's important because I changed a life I didn't know I changed." And that is powerful. like the quiet faithfulness, the people who never make the billboard or on the radio or TV, but who changed real people's lives in real ways. Yeah. And you know what? I mean, there's the old saying: if you save one, you save he who saves one life saves the world.
Yeah.
I think there's beauty in that.
So we just encourage you, one, keep your eyes out for things like this that seem so simple or mundane that are just around you all the time. Like, this is something as simple as farmers out in the field where you can learn from them, because that's how Jesus worked, right? He learned heavenly truths from earthly happenings.
But yeah, and he revealed them. Yeah.
He revealed them, and I think that that's something that we should be aware about, and then also lean into some of these things. Let them transform you, and let them kind of inform how you go about your daily life.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about like doing, like, I mean, as pastors, we sometimes talk about what's our outreach or what's our event. But what would it look like if every member of the congregation spent some time once a week just investing in someone else? Like little things, right? A text message, a cup of coffee, a meal. You know, that would be revolutionary.
Yeah, and those are the seeds that you plant.
Yeah.
Those are the seeds of faithfulness.
The spiritual conversation.
That you're putting in the ground, that you're putting in, and you're cultivating that ground through that. Yeah. And so we just encourage you to be a good harvest worker, to be a good farmer, and take these lessons on forward as you invest in those around you, as you love those around you, as you work that ground around you. And so with that being said, we will see you guys next time on another edition of Walnut Grove Cultural Conversations. Cheers.
Cheers.